Okay, I am now rolling.
And I am now rolling. Welcome back to another episode of DMAH on the Mic Drop. This is episode 3. Thank you again for watching. If you've watched us before and you like what you see, please like and subscribe, and you get updates for next drops as soon as they come. What's up, Daniel? How are you doing today? I feel like I should do that again. Should I do that again? I think I should do that again.
I think we're good, man.
All right, whatever. Okay. One take wonders.
So for those of you guys watching who don't know Mike, you know that you'll find that he's a prima donna. He was fussing with his hair right before we started.
Accurate.
Just kidding. No, now I'm the one who can't talk. We are how many months into lockdown now? And I've noticed certain things have gone up in value significantly since all of this happened. Certain things have gone down in value and certain things have gone significantly up. And one thing is haircuts.
Oh my gosh.
And you guys watching this probably can't tell, but I'm sporting a significantly different haircut than I usually do. Out of necessity, I had to basically perfect giving myself a skin fade. It's a couple days in, so it kind of looks normal now, but this is the blurriest my hair's ever been. But overall, I'm kind of pleased with the way it came out.
Why did you have to change your haircut? Because you normally cut your own hair. Well, the audience doesn't know that.
Right.
You normally cut your hair and my hair.
Yeah, I miss giving people haircuts, but yeah, I was cutting my own hair right before a Marshall Club shoot last week. By the way, guys, sorry that episode 3 is coming so late after episode 2 took like 2 weeks to get out. The reason why is because Marshall Club went really commando mode and like we managed to finish a short film within 24 hours. So from the time we called from the time we called action the first time to the time we finished editing, that was 24 hours. So Brian really put in a lot of work to get it done on time. Andy did the sound editing, and it just dropped on Marshall Club today. Shameless plug.
If you guys haven't seen it yet,
views.
If you haven't seen it yet, hit pause. www.youtube.com/Marshall Club. Watch it right now. Then you can come back and watch us like 3 or 4 times.
For those of you who like Bruce Lee, I think you'll really get a kick out of this one. We had a lot of time writing it. But anyways, back to my hair snafu. I was giving myself a haircut right before I was supposed to go over to the Lee's house to film with them. And every time I've been cutting my hair recently, I'm like, I should make this a little tighter. I think I can blend it a little bit better. And it got to the point where I used those foil shavers, the ones I was using on Nate that last time. Uh-huh. And the same thing happened. I took it a little too high and the line was really awkward.
Oh.
And I'm like, I'm like, I guess I'm balls deep now, so I gotta commit all the way. So I basically kept fiddling with it. And what usually takes about 45 minutes ended up taking 3 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I'm like, dude, every technique I've ever learned with haircutting has to be on point right now. Because, like, the effect is just not there unless you do everything just right. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I was sweating so much. And it was the biggest trial ever. And I'm like, if this doesn't go right, I'm going to have to explain to them why I'm showing up to the house bald. Yeah. And it
looks good.
It was a very thank you. It was a very harrowing experience, but it came out better than I expected. And it just goes to show that sometimes level ups come out of necessity. It's like you back yourself against the wall and then suddenly you got to perform. You got to go big or go home. And I think that's the life lesson there.
Yeah, 3 lockdown hours well spent. I wouldn't say these are 3 normal hours well spent, but 3 lockdown hours well spent.
Seriously. But that being said, if you want me to give you a skin fade last time, if you have 3 hours to kill, I think I think I've got it down now. So our friend Nate was the guinea pig for the very first time I tried to give a skin fade, and it took about the same amount of time, 3 hours, and I just couldn't get that line to go away. For those of you who are into haircutting, it just looked like white, black, or I guess in his case more of a
tan,
brown,
beige, orange.
But it was like 3 hours in, and I think it was like 1 a.m. at that point. He's like, I'm going to call it. I have work in the morning. And I'm like, dude, your hair. But, it's one of those things where 3 days later, no one can tell. Mm. But I just feel like somebody else had to bite the bullet in order for me to learn.
So yeah, things are at a
Yeah.
premium. Haircuts
Yeah.
and things are cheaper and more expensive. Where were you going with that thought?
Yeah. Well, fitness is
Oh my
at a
gosh.
premium now. Like people are price gouging for fitness equipment
Are they really?
because, yeah, I don't know how it is in other countries, but for those of you listening from outside of the United States, all the gyms had to shut down because they were considered non-essential business, whereas hair salons are. Well, ironically
Wait,
enough,
really?
but then
Hair salons are.
I'm not. I think so. For sure, hair salons came back before gyms came back. So I don't think all gyms are fully operational yet. But my gym just came back last weekend. Still haven't had the balls to go back yet. But gyms were basically amongst the last tier of businesses to come back, which it's kind of telling of our mentality in the United States. Fitness is apparently not as essential as other things.
Honestly,
like
dude,
haircuts.
I like am 100% for us continuing lockdown into perpetuity until we have a stronger idea of how to protect people's well-being. I think one of the things that's really, really alarming to me is the fact that we're opening back up in ways that are really irresponsible.
Yeah.
And it's still killing people. Like the rates are still going up. The number of coronavirus cases is still climbing, and
Yeah.
people are still like violently rebelling against stupid things like wearing a mask.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know, man. Like there's a part of me that's like, you know, if I were to walk around with an X-Acto knife and to like walk around like cutting people in the finger, it's like that's harm to you, right? Like that's like I'm carrying a tool to inflict harm to you. And it's like it's not the same because we don't know with certainty that the people that don't wear masks are for sure harming you. But like that's kind of the same potential, right? Like if you are dangerous to society and you are unwilling to exercise caution, claiming your what is it called? Like your liberties, your personal liberties, or what's the phrase? Your
Civil liberties.
civil liberties. Thank you. I would say like
Gotcha,
at what
Mike.
degree is it like civil liberties, and at what degree is it like you're impairing my civil liberties, my right to life and health and happiness. Because if I get
Yeah.
sick, like that's a problem that you cause directly to me, and it's like, how is it different than me hurting you? How is it different than me inflicting bodily harm upon you?
I go back and forth about how I feel about that because I think we're in a very unique situation where lockdown doesn't seem to impact us too much in the negative. And I've met a lot of other people who are like, I am loving it. I was over at my brother's house for dinner for Father's Day the other day. Ooh, social distancing, right? But he was like, it's really nice because he's a pastor. He's one of the pastors of our church. For those of you listening, he films his sermon by Friday, and he actually gets a weekend. Because usually he'd be busy all weekend because Saturday service, Sunday morning service, Sunday later morning service, and basically he doesn't have weekends anymore. He gets a weekend now, and he hasn't had a weekend in over half a decade. And he's like, honestly, if they decided to extend lockdown for another few weeks, months, I love you guys so much, so I want you guys to stay home and be safe. And then he's like, yeah. And other people who are on furlough, who, weren't in extravagantly high paying jobs to begin with, they're not working and they're still getting paid. And they're like, I can kind of get used to this, There's some Animal Crossing to be played and some shopping to get done from online, and it's really nice staying in my pajamas. So there's that side of it. Whereas there are other people who are stuck at home and they're developing cabin fever, and they're going crazy with every passing day. And like I was listening to an MMA news video, and Matt Serra had to close down one of his schools because someone like him, who's big time with a big name school, has to pay something in the area of 10 G's a month just to keep it running. And that's 10 G's they still owe even when the governor decrees that they're not allowed to be operating right now. So it sucks. some people are really, really getting to the shaft on this one.
Maybe you shouldn't be Matt Serra and, be less of a jerk.
Yeah.
Sorry. Matt Serra
There's
had a
that
big
too.
rivalry with one of my first favorite MMA fighters, but I digress.
Yeah. No, it's so interesting though. On that note, like there are fighters that, partially due to your influence, I hated when they were fighters, but now I'm like, they're pretty funny.
Yeah.
Matt Serra among them.
He is
Dan
funny.
Hardy, Chael Sonnen.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of them, I really like them now. But as fighters, they were absolute jerks.
I think there are certain fighters that I've come around on. Chael Sonnen is probably like one of the biggest ones. I actually came around on him even before he started podcasting. I think when he was on The Ultimate Fighter with John Jones, and you just got to see him as a person, and like you could see the mask come off. Or even him with Wanderlei Silva, how he was like trying to like be peaceful and de-escalate and just be like, dude, like cut it out. Like this is for TV, He won me over there. And Wanderlei was just absolutely nutso-baggins. But I think it's interesting, like a lot of these athletes, they create such big personalities, big personas, like WWE stars, like they're these caricatures of themselves, and it's weird how we let ourselves just get whipped into a frenzy, like it's a really fascinating phenomenon that we can look at Conor McGregor and like care so much when it's just like a random dude from across the pond that just punches people in the face pretty darn well. Like it's really not that special what he is, what he contributes to society, what he does, but he's managed to capture our interest in such a potent and skillful way.
Yeah. It's funny. I actually had a dream about Conor McGregor this morning.
Oh.
I dreamt I dreamt that we were at the Apex, which for those of you guys who don't know, that's where the UFC is holding their events right now. It's their own facility in Vegas, and it's a smaller facility, but they're able to host full UFC shows there now. And I dreamt I was not only octagon side, I was in the octagon as Conor McGregor was fighting his next opponent. And I believe it was Justin Gaethje, but in my subconscious, Justin Gaethje was an amalgam of himself and Eddie Alvarez for some reason. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, Conor was getting his ass handed to him. Like, I don't know, it was so weird. Like, he was just, like, coming up short on every single exchange. And I'm like, dude, what is happening? And I was so disappointed, I left the octagon to go walk around the Apex Center to see what was happening. And then when I came back, I wasn't allowed back inside the octagon, obviously. And I was forced to find a seat amongst the stands. Apparently, they had a little bit of a live gate. And I saw the biggest rattlesnake coiled around a palm tree. I don't know why there was a rattlesnake or a palm tree inside the Apex Center, but it was halfway in between a rattlesnake and a python, and it was just like snatching its prey. And I just realized I have the weirdest dreams.
Daniel Ma, Dreamcatcher. That's our new podcast. Yeah. Every single podcast so far, it's been like, I dreamed a movie last night.
I know.
I dreamed what was the first one was a romantic comedy. The second one was like a over the ages drama, action drama.
Yeah.
And today it's I'm dreaming about Conor McGregor. It's like all these things are actually prophecy. Like you're the modern day Daniel.
I wonder. I got a nice touch there with the Daniel. But I don't know. I find that I might disagree with you on how they don't bring anything interesting. Like I feel like these big personalities that you occasionally run across in combat sports, some of them really do have the podium and the ability to change the world. Like Muhammad Ali, for example. I think a Muhammad Ali would have been especially relevant during times such as these, but he was relevant in times such as the ones that he was active in. It's really rare, but really awesome in my opinion, when you get a sports figure who really transcends their sport and manages to be significant on a world stage. And I think Muhammad Ali was, such a figure. And he came to represent much more than just a great boxer. He was also, a great political, he had real political significance, social significance, and he really came to be a special snapshot of the time in which he operated.
I absolutely agree that they can become a profound and significant catalyst for change in society. But I also think, like, when you think about what it is, like, why is it that we become so impassioned and so interested in the lives and, like, dating history and religious beliefs of dudes who, like, literally, they're just guys who play sports. Like, for some sports, you know, it's like, why do we care so much about Michael Phelps? I swim really fast. You know, like, that's literally what makes you special. Yet we cared so much about his, like, you know, he's like being a bad Olympian and is being a bad role model because he's partying and stuff. And, like, why? You know, why is it important? And I don't, it's not that it shouldn't be, it's not that it should be less. It's just a really fascinating phenomenon. You know, I think it kind of speaks to what captures our society's interests. And in some ways, I think it's kind of damning. You know, like, why aren't we having these discussions about, like, great scientists, about Francis Collins, who runs the NHS, National Health Service? Like, he's like basically
Hockey?
Yeah. He's like the leading mind in like shaping policy for health in America today. Super cool guy. Loves God. Fascinating disposition about evolution and Christianity. And but like, why aren't we, like, passionate about these guys who are, like, literally creating systems to save lives and to change the world and affect the world in really substantial ways? But it's just a really fascinating phenomenon. You know, I'm not against it. By and large, I'm not against it. I think sometimes we go overboard, but it just.
You bring up a really good point.
Go.
I mean, why does it matter
who
the next heavyweight champion of the world is, or who has the next NBA title? You know, it just means a ring and a trophy for a lot of sports teams. But I think the answer, I don't know the answer, but I think part of it has to do with how we're wired as human beings. Because I think there's a reason why we like to tell stories and hear stories, why movies are so important, why things like the Iliad or the Odyssey exist. I think there's certain aspects of legacy and storytelling that we just need. We need drama. You know, we as human beings need drama. And I think the way the world is shaped right now, a lot of people live quote-unquote dramaless lives, and we find ways to invent our own drama. And it's kind of like not all of us can be in movies, but we like to think of our lives as movies to some capacity. Everybody has that to some capacity. And I think when you watch, you know, two rival teams meet each other in the finals, or two fighters who really have beef, or these larger-than-life characters, I think it kind of scratches that itch that we all seem to have. And it's like our way of elevating our lives from the mundane to the extraordinary. And sometimes it just has to be done vicariously through big figures like a Muhammad Ali or a Conor McGregor.
100% acknowledged. But on the flip side, like, there are also... I'm just going to be real. Bowling isn't a sport, you know? It's a hobby. You know, like, why
what
is
about
it...
cornholing?
Yeah, like, why are all these things such, like, captivating topics?
My life will not be complete unless I know who's the best dart thrower in the world. The dart players, that's where it's at, dude.
Like, all of those things, I just... There's a line that there should be a line somewhere where we're able to discern, like, why... I don't know what I'm talking about. I just think it's just, like, a very strange phenomenon. Like, esports and, like, there was in the absence of real sports, there was a dude who started a marble racing, like, it's like NASCAR but with marbles. And, you know, they named the marbles, they, like, named the teams, and I think they got sponsors, and I think Jon Stewart of the like, last night or whatever, like, John Oliver the angry
Yeah.
Britishman. He basically became their sponsor, and yeah, it's just like it's really really kind of interesting. This,
Yeah.
I guess it's a psychological phenomenon that occurs in
Yeah.
humanity, but yeah, I
Yeah. I think stuff like that is testament to how weird lockdown has made us.
But esports was around before. Like there were darts before. There were like literally on like there's ESPN like 2, ESPN 3, and if you like ever flip to them,
Yeah.
they're playing darts or they're playing billiards, and it's like I don't even know how billiards work. Who tunes in to watch this? You know, like we have YouTube now. Just like tune into the highlights. Golf.
Yeah.
Why do people care about golf?
I know. Golf is a strange one.
Yeah. I'll nenever get it.
Yeah.
I'll never get it.
Golf is just one of those sports that enables snobs to be even snobbier. It's the most boring thing ever.
Fishing.
Like,
Fishing is
sometimes-
televised. How is fishing a competitive endeavor?
Yeah.
You know, like, is it really? Does the skill of the fisherman? And I don't know this. I'm not saying that there's no skill. Oh, okay, I'm sure there's skill required, but like,
Yeah.
can a fisherman really influence the size? I think it's like decided by how big the catch is. Like, does
Yeah.
a more skillful fisherman attract larger fish, or is it just like he just happens to be in the right spot, the right place at the right time? You know, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah. If we were all randomly playing a game where you just like throw a ball against a wall and like randomly assign points based on like the sound it makes, you know, that's kind of what it seems like with some of these sports. You know, how fascinated and how obsessed we get about marble racing or fishing, or I don't know. I don't want to
Yeah.
associate some of the other sillier sports because there is skill required, but like esports is really really absurd to me. You know, I get
Yeah.
that
Seriously.
people, you know, care about these games and they like playing these games and they want to see somebody play these games really well, but the degree to which we have been able to build narratives and storylines and like really really like demand the interest and attention of like the world stage, it's pretty strange to me. All respect if you like it, I just don't get it. I'm becoming an old fogey.
It's so crazy. Because it brings me back to childhood when our parents are like, don't play so much video games. You're
dude.
never, ever going to get a job playing video games. And then all those people who are making 7, 8 figures playing video games are laughing their asses off right now. That's so crazy. It's just so weird how much they shove that in their parents' face. And I feel the same way when we had to spend so much time doing cursive as kids. They're like, when you get to 3rd grade, you're only going to be able to write in cursive. And then come to 3rd grade and we're writing in block letters because they can't read our writing. They're like, oh, but when you get to 4th grade, you'll only be able to write in cursive. And then we got to 4th grade, same thing. And then 5th grade, and then 6th grade. And now nobody writes in cursive. It's really crazy how...
Yeah, like why... I actually don't know. Is that true that we used to write in cursive for like mundane purposes?
I feel like at one point it was true. I think if you read all of Bruce Lee's notes when he, when he was alive, he wrote in cursive, and he had pretty good handwriting. But it's definitely a bygone thing, and we're living in a time where video games makes you a lot of money.
Are your nieces and nephews being taught cursive?
I don't think so. They're being taught to type on electronic devices like iPads.
So they don't even know how to write. They're basically illiterate.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tessia.
Yeah, it's a strange world we live in. It just goes to show that humans are so varied in their ways that there's a market for everything. I'm looking at you people who are spending hours watching our videos.
Yes.
But thank you for being here. We really appreciate it, all 10 of you.
Yeah, it's really fascinating, like what YouTube has done and what streaming platforms have done, what TikTok has done. By the way, for those of you who heard me talking about TikTok in episode 1, I want you to know 2 things. I want you to know that shortly after I told Daniel to sign up for TikTok, his resolve broke, like the week.
Yeah.
Man, it is. And I realized
have
it was
no shame.
stupid, and I gave up on it because I don't make content that's fit for TikTok.
Dude, you left me. I've only made one post. I have no idea how TikTok works. It's like one post, and it has 2 views.
Nice.
You and one other person.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just very like it's very, very young, that platform. It's just I don't get it. I mean I get it, but I see a lot of content on there that has lots of attention, and I'm like, this isn't really interesting or compelling or anything. It's like it's just stuff, and the things
Yeah.
people are willing to consume nowadays. That's actually really a fascinating thing. The quality of content or what causes somebody to watch a video is a really, really, really interesting phenomenon. Like I personally care a lot about the content I put out. And one of the things that I've heard a lot about social media and trying to build a brand online is like you can't care so much. You've just gotta put stuff out. And it's interesting because it's true. Like the path of least resistance to success is not to carefully curate and to really develop a good thoughts or a coherent voice or a worthwhile message, but rather to just spit out stuff and constantly spit out stuff. And it's kind of it's there's a lot that you can discern from that and where our society is. I feel like we're in a very, very, very substanceless society where it's really just ADD, throwing back to episode 2. It's very, very we just need to constantly be fed and inundated with material. It doesn't have to be good material. It just has to be material. I just need stuff. Feed me. I can't deal with being away from my devices. I can't deal with being away from my feed for a couple minutes because I need to constantly bombard myself with information. It's like Ronnie Cheng says. 20 years from now, they're going to be like, you let your children use the internet? Like, we have these zones 50 feet outside of the homes, the businesses where you're allowed to use businesses. You let pregnant people use internet? It's going to be viewed like cigarettes are viewed today. But
Yeah. No, I feel like the attention span of the world grows shorter and shorter every day. And I think the appeal of TikTok is it takes less and less of your brain power to interact with.
Exactly.
But it still gives it something to consume. It's like bite-sized bits of entertainment. And the funny thing is that's what Instagram used to be. It used to be 15-second clips, and it was like a funny thing or an amusing thing for you to interact with, and then you just throw it away. And it's so funny that it gets shorter and shorter and shorter to the point where Instagram, in comparison to TikTok, seems elevated. And it's just this hierarchy, this intellectual hierarchy of social media platforms. But that being said, we appreciate that some people care to listen to 2 people like us talk in some kind of long form facet. But one more thing about that, just because you were saying you can't care so much, and you just got to keep putting out content. I do think that there is a way to convey meaningful little tidbits, even if it has to be subliminally, to people who are just looking for, a short-term amusement. I think it's for people like us who care to say something meaningful to find very creative and maybe subliminal ways to convey it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's kind of one of the things that I have to try to remind myself and not beat myself up on, because a lot of times I look at how much I care about saying something tangible. I don't want to just be dumb and get views. I want to say something with substance, something with meaning, something that'll either encourage somebody, something that'll like make people think, challenge some of the things that they may believe. And I look at how palatable my message is by the only metrics I have: views, subscriptions.
Yeah.
And I cross compare that to, I don't want to like put down anyone else who's just trying to hustle, but like there's some really dumb stuff out there, you know? Like there's some really, really, really dumb stuff out there. And
Yeah, I know what you mean.
and it hurts, you know? Sometimes it's like very, very humbling. And I know that they put in hard work to get to where they are, but it's humbling because, you know, there's a part of me that's prideful, that not just is prideful, but takes pride in the work that I put out. And I compare myself to some of these people, and I shouldn't. You know, I really, really shouldn't. But it's hard not to like look at the metrics and be like, dang, like, you know, I'm genuinely trying to teach people how to cook. You know, I'm genuinely trying to share a heartfelt message about my dad, or you know, like the journey that my dad had when he came to America, and an image of In-N-Out posted by, you know, like Joe Nobody gets infinitely more likes and significantly more engagement, and it's like disappointing, you know. The In-N-Out thing is actually a really fascinating phenomenon. Anthony Bourdain talked about it quite a bit. He talked about how he could like post pictures from like all these exotic locations, from like the best restaurants in the world, and they would all pale in comparison in terms of engagement rate and responses and content, etc., or comments, etc., to posting an image of an In-N-Out bag. There was just something like ultra potent to his audience, and I think like just people in general, about In-N-Out. Very, very easy to like.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel, you know. Have you ever tried it? Have you ever tried it?
I still haven't tried it. Mike and I were joking. We were thinking about both making an Instagram post with In-N-Out to see how it does in comparison to our other posts, but it still hasn't happened yet. Maybe
I think we should do it.
It's our. Oh, I was just gonna say maybe it's our sense of self-worth that's preventing us from doing it. But sure, let's do it.
I think we should do it. We should do it as a social experiment. You know, like I'm not doing it for the sake of like getting followers or trying to convey messages. I would like straight up put in my description that this is a parody post, and this is like not a parody post, but this is like a social experiment. This is a exploration of Anthony Bourdain's thesis on social media.
But the thing is, you can't tell them it's that. Otherwise, it breaks the thing. It breaks whatever spell it is.
You put it down really low. You put it in the comments. You know, you like, you hide it so that you can see what happens.
Sneak in a hashtag.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Yeah. But it's so weird how In-N-Out just speaks to people's souls. I feel like there's a special tier of fast food that just, I call it, I just coined the term right now, but charismatic fast food.
Yeah.
Because McDonald's is commonplace. Burger King is less than that. But then you bring up In-N-Out, or you bring in Chick-fil-A. There's like certain ones where it just speaks to people's soul in a certain way, and it's like a cult following, you know? People love In-N-Out. People come from all over the country to California to have In-N-Out. How crazy is that? People talk about In-N-Out on podcasts, on TV shows. It's just crazy how people love a burger that's grilled fresh, you know? And their fries suck too. And people just love In-N-Out.
Fries are terrible.
Yeah.
Mealy and undercooked. And they don't double fry their fries. Like, trust me, like, I am kind of a chef. It's garbage.
Kind of.
Yeah. It's interesting because, like, at the end of the day, In-N-Out, it's an okay burger. I think the value of In-N-Out is that they consistently produce a solid, okay burger. It is not an exceptional burger. It is not a good burger, but it's okay, and it's always okay. You know, it's not going to be like sitting out there for a really long time, like you can kind of get at McDonald's.
Right.
But and it's definitely like higher quality in terms of the ingredients they use and the ways they prepare it. It's not like a microwaved burger like a lot of these fast food chains are. It's like actually grilled. But it's really like, it's not that special of a burger. It's not like better than your average diner's burger, but people just make such a big deal out of it. It has a cult of personality, you know? Charismatic fast food. I like that. Yeah. Oh, dude, another one, like Popeyes chicken sandwich. I like... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I something about the chicken sandwich. People kill each other. Literally to get it. It's really,
dude, that was true. They were killing each other. Dude.
Yeah. People have died just to get their hands on this sandwich. And you can conceivably make something better at home. But no, it has to be the Popeyes orange chicken sandwich, you know?
Dude, it's really, really funny. I remember when there was a lot of hubbubaloo about it. If you guys haven't heard, Popeyes released a chicken sandwich sometime last year, and then they created a lot of buzz, like great marketing. They created a ton of buzz, and then they screwed up their supply chain, and their buns went out of stock. And because they weren't able to like adapt, like they lost, in my opinion, they totally screwed the pooch, and they lost a ton of that buzz because they were just out of stock of the bun. They had everything else, and they just refused to make them for a while until they got their buns back in stock. They didn't switch to a different bun. They didn't do anything like that. But I digress. During this time,
It's to die for.
Dude, during this time, people die. People would line up, and like, you know, there would be long lines outside of Popeyes. And this is before coronavirus, mind you. There were like tons of people waiting, and people would just get annoyed. You know, people would just get irritated and on each other's nerves. People would cut in line. And if you go back and look, there were many incidents of violence to the degree of murder over Chick-fil-A. And it's really like, it's disgusting that happened over a chicken sandwich, and it just kind of reinforces the idea that humanity is depraved and broken and desperately in need of a savior. But not going to go down that road. I had it. I accidentally took somebody's bag at Chick-fil-A. I ordered, like, you know, at my Chick-fil-A, or at my, not Chick-fil-A, at my Popeyes, we have a Tuesday special, like $2.49 for 2 pieces of dark meat chicken. Super good. I am Asian. I love good deals, and that's like a legit deal. So I will go there every so often when I want to spoil myself. I went there, I ordered it, I picked up the wrong order, I came home with 2 chicken sandwiches, and it's like super not good. It is like below my liking. Wow, I'm really good at talking today. I like Chick-fil-A infinitely better. You know, like the chicken in itself is all right. You know, like Popeye makes good chicken, but it's just like a really unexceptional sauce on a really ordinary bun. And there's nothing to make a big hubbubaloo about. People died for it. You know, people died to fight each other for the opportunity to eat this dumb sandwich.
Yeah, I'm telling you, people need drama in their lives.
Yeah.
It's like, you gotta live for, you know, you gotta die for something. Yeah, and for some people, there's nothing but a chicken sandwich. And that is supremely sad, in my opinion.
Go to Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, Chick-fil-A. Christian chicken is better chicken.
Shorter lines, you know. Actually, you know, like that. I like Chick-fil-A, but I don't even think Chick-fil-A is that special, to be honest. I think the world at large doesn't understand that white meat is basically dog meat. And what I mean by dog meat, I mean it's like meat you feed to your dog, not like dog meat.
I know
we're Asians.
I know. I know. We don't eat dog. Yeah. Well, I ate dog once.
Oh my gosh. Okay. You just told the world that you ate dog. Way to reinforce the stereotype. I have never eaten dog. Someone's just gonna isolate that, and they're like, I will never eat dog. I will never eat cat.
It's actually a really funny story, but
yeah, I'll eat rat. I have no problems with trying a rat or rabbit. I have tried rabbit, but I won't eat a dog or a cat. Anyway, Daniel's a monster, and he like has no shame in eating a dog.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm Cantonese, and Cantonese people will eat anything with 4 legs except a table. But if situations are bad enough, then I'll try the table too. It's probably high in fiber. But
undoubtedly.
yeah.
You will poop solid logs. Dum-dum-ch.
And that was the end of our podcast.
Yeah.
It was nice knowing you guys. No, but I have tried dog.
Oh my gosh.
And unexceptional, but I actually am glad that I had tried it. I was in Korea, so it's not the Chinese people, it's the dirty Korea. No, just kidding. It was in Korea, though. I think I was in Itaewon. I forgot exactly where I was. But the funny thing was Andy and I were there because he was competing in the Red Bull tournament known as Kick It. It was the Red Bull sponsored tricking event. And he was there to defend his title, that he actually was the inaugural champion of the Red Bull Kick It tournament. And I was there to corner him, you know. And after the tournament was over, we were just exploring Seoul. And we were in that district. And the funny thing was, that day we only had 2 things on the agenda. And one was to go to a puppy cafe, where you go, it's exactly what it sounds like. You go there, you drink overpriced coffee, and you play with puppies. They're running around your feet as you're drinking your coffee. And the other one was, you gotta try this dog meat cafe, or this dog meat restaurant. And we're like, huh. And for some reason, there was no soul dissonance. We're like, yeah, we can do both of those in the same day. And like, why don't we get lunch at the dog restaurant before we go to a dog cafe? And someone's like, no, don't do that. If you do that, the puppies can smell the dog meat on your breath, and they'll run away from you. So for that reason, we went to the puppy cafe first, and then we went over to the restaurant, and we tried their older brothers. And it was the weirdest thing ever. We went over there. Yeah, I know. It was horrible. They served the dog meat to us in like a kimchi jjigae, I guess, and we're eating it,
yeah.
and it was okay. It's the consistency of goat meat, except it's sweaty. It's got like a sweaty kind of musky flavor to it. And we asked the lady who was serving us, we're like, what kind of dog is this? And she looked at us very sheepishly, and she's like, don't worry, it wasn't anybody's pet.
Yeah.
And we're like, that doesn't make us feel any better.
Yeah.
And when I finally got back to America, I worked up the nerve to Google what kind of dog that they serve. I think it's a breed of dog called Jindong. And it's actually really cute, and it hurt my soul to realize I ate something that cute. And you're right. The moral of the story is I am a monster.
It's interesting the parameters we create around what is okay to eat and what is not okay to eat.
Right.
At the end of the day, you know, like I don't eat dog or cat simply because I had a dog, and you know, like to me, it just, you know, the idea of somebody eating my dog, of killing my dog, you know, while not fully aged and then eating it, makes me sad. So the idea of me doing something like that also makes me sad. And the same applies to a cat. I didn't own a cat, but I had a cat that was basically mine, that was like living outside of my house. Honestly, before that incident where Cece's the name of my cat, chair cat meow.
Best cat ever.
Best cat ever. But yeah, before she showed up in my house.
Socks is on the other side of the window, like looking at me going, how dare you?
Daniel
I
has
also have a cat similar to mine.
Yeah, but like before that,
But Cece was the best.
I think I might have been willing to try it. I wouldn't have gone out of my way to eat it, but like if like somebody put it in front of me and told me to eat it, I would be like, kind of, you know, if like they pressured me societally and like culturally to eat it, I might do it just to be polite, because we Asians are all about being polite and saving face. But I would have never gone out of my way to try it. The interesting thing is, like, how do we decide what is okay to eat and what isn't okay to eat? Like, some people keep rabbits as pets, some people keep fish as pets, some people keep all these things as pets. Like, some people have pet pigs and pet cows and, you know, all those 9 yards.
Pet chickens.
Pet chickens, exactly. You know, it was interesting. When I was on MasterChef, I remember there was this hunter lady who was, like, she had, like, AK-47 earrings. I'm just gonna like straight up put her on blast because she's never gonna listen to this. But I remember like she was talking about like hunting bear, and eating bear. And I was like super fascinated by what she was saying, you know, like she was like, oh, you got to kill the bear in the first shot, otherwise the meat gets all like tough and you know you can't eat it. And
stress hormone, right?
Yeah. I think that's what it is.
Like that.
Yeah. And I don't think there's anything wrong with eating bear. You know, like I don't. You know, I don't think there's anything wrong with eating or hunting bear or boar or anything like that. And I was just curious because she was like talking about how she would kill and eat anything. I was like, you know, would you ever like hunt or kill like wild dogs? And she's like, no. And I was like, I'm just curious, like, why not? You know?
And then she looks at you, you're like, dirty Asian.
Yeah, no, like that's the thing. Like she totally judged me on that, and like she didn't ask me, she didn't anything me. You know, I was like genuinely curious, like.
Yeah.
Like for example, in Australia, there's a crazy feral cat situation, and they're like shooting, killing cats because they're decimating the natural wildlife. It's like, it's sad, but you know, if you're gonna like need to protect your natural fauna, it's something that's necessary, and it's humans that you know put them into this habitat where they're taking over. It's humans that need to deal with the problem. Anyway, I digress. I just was curious what the line was, you know, because she's talking about hunting and killing all these exotic, crazy animals, and I just asked her like point blank, like, what about dogs or cats? And she was like, no, I would never kill anything and eat anything like that. And I was like, why? And she was like, they're domestic animals. And I was like, well, pigs and cows are domestic animals too. And she just got really defensive and really angry and really like, you're an idiot. And I was like, I'm not endorsing the killing of dogs or cats. I'm just curious about, you know, what the line is. And if I am an idiot for having questions and being open and interested in exploring the idea of what makes it right or wrong to kill an animal and eat it, you can call me an idiot and let the world decide what you are, because I don't need to say it. You know, like I'm not a proponent for eating dog cat. Like I said before, and I'll say it again. Despite the fact that I look like this, I am not going to eat a dog. For all you people who like to mock Asians for eating dogs, even if you did eat dog, again, like, what says it's okay and to eat dog, but not okay to eat cats or chickens or cows or chickens or anything that other people keep as pets?
Right.
I think.
Yeah,
strange societal constructs.
Yeah, it is. And I think it draws full circle to when I said charismatic fast food. I'll be honest, I actually stole that from, or is based off of, a term coined by Steve Rinella, who is a big personality in the world of hunting. He coined a term called charismatic megafauna. For example, bears. Like, bears are really dangerous creatures, and in some areas they are a true threat and a real menace to the people who live there. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, some people are actually very against the idea of hunting bears because there's Yogi Bear, there's the Coca-Cola bear, there's teddy bears, and we've done this weird thing in American society where we think of bears as friendly, cuddly creatures, but in reality, they will kill you and your entire family without a single thought, and very quickly, I might add. And it's just really crazy what the cognitive dissonance between what a bear actually is and what we think of bears as being. Mm-hmm. And you're right. And I think it has a lot to do with commercialism and marketing and all of that. But we put labels on certain things and suddenly they're protected by society, bears being one of them. And it just removes us really, really far from what they actually are.
I would eat a bear.
Yeah, I would eat a bear. 100%. I'd eat the crap out of a. No, I'd not eat the crap, but I'd eat bear. Oh man, I'm full of one-liners today.
Yeah, I don't.
But
I've seen. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I mean, I've seen hunting shows about them eating black bear, and apparently black bears that eat blueberries are really, really tasty because you take their fat and you render it down, and it has essence of blueberry. And I'm definitely 100% down to try that.
Yeah, I don't think there are many animals I wouldn't eat. Like, I don't think I would eat primates.
No, too close to us, right?
Yeah, and it's also like, again, what is the line? You know, it's so arbitrary and so, because like the EQ of a dog is significantly higher than the EQ of a lot of these small macaques and small monkeys.
Yeah.
But I would more strongly be reticent to eat those macaques and monkeys than I would be reticent to eat a dog. I mean, I'm reticent to eat both, but
Yeah.
there's like degrees of how much I don't want to eat something, and it's just fascinating. Like what I know what we can title our podcast here for you guys at home. At every single point in time when you're developing a YouTube video, you've got to figure out like what's the caption going to be, what's the title going to be, what's the description going to be. It's a lot of work to come up with that. We're totally going to talk about Asians eating dog. It's going to get you guys
I was totally
to click.
thinking that. Yeah. I'm like, here comes the thumbnail.
Yeah,
here comes the thumbnail.
DMAH ate a dog. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. Yeah.
Yep, you're totally right.
Thank you for being a bad person to help us get views and clicks. I am looking forward to all the people that are going to dislike us. They're going to call you a monster. The people...
Dirty Asian.
Yeah. We're going to get racial comments and animal lover comments,
PETA's going to come after us.
Dude, PETA can come after you all you want. PETA, for some people don't know. I think PETA, on paper, looks like a wonderful organization. The idea of caring about animals and being responsible and ethical about treating animals well is something I 100% unequivocally support, but PETA is not that. PETA is a eco-terrorist group that doesn't use logic or reason in their decision makings and how they will A, address an issue, B, respond to things, or C, most damningly, respond to people. And it's scary, like...
Not to mention, they're going to be the harbingers of the zombie apocalypse. I saw 28 Days Later. Don't tell me otherwise. You guys are going to be responsible for the decimation of the human population.
Was it PETA?
Not COVID, zombies.
Was it PETA?
Well, it was like a radical animal group that is called KETA. Yeah. I don't know. They didn't have a name in the movie, but I know what you guys are up to. You guys are about to unleash zombies on us. I know it.
Yeah,
you heard it here first.
It's surprising to me that they have such a potent following with so many big name celebrities. It's weird. Like, it's kind of dumb that I expect celebrities to be above reproach in that regard and to be like smarter and more considerate when a lot of celebrities are just crazy people. But yeah, like if you look at PETA and you look at what they do, there is a practice that belies a belief. And you will see it happen a lot. A lot of times when you see them take issue with a person or organization or their behavior, they put the person on blast. They'll like release personal details about where the person lives, make threats to the person's life, livelihood, etc. Like there was a dentist, I believe, who went hunting in the African safari and killed a lion that he shouldn't have.
Cecil.
What was that?
Cecil the lion.
Oh yeah. That's exactly exactly. And it's sad. It's absolutely sad, and I think the guy kind of like was a jerk for doing it. But at the end of the day,
charismatic megafauna.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, like there's two questions you have to ask. Like, A, what was the net effect of this guy killing this lion? Was this lion an endangered lion that was, potential of propagating and protecting the race? Was this lion a nuisance, a menace to the villages and the farmers that lived around it, which, lions in Africa generally are? And B, even if he was in the wrong, even if the death was, or like the killing of a lion was completely unjustified, does it justify how we then will basically take away the humanity of the individual committing the crime? Because if you look at it, what ends up happening is these organizations will take the life and value of animals and place them above the life and value of humans. And
Yeah.
that's one place I'll object. Like I think there is a logic that I will disagree with. There is a ideology that I will resist, that animals and humans are the same. Because I think that we're the only ones created in God's image. We're the only ones that function at this specific wavelength and this particular ability to be cognitively aware of ourselves and other people, to have emotions, like true emotions, like love and compassion. People say dogs experience love. It's like, it's not really like the degree of devotion that a dog has to a human is not the same degree that a human will have to a human. Dogs experience pack-like mentalities, but once you die, they will eat you if they have nothing else to eat. Humans will take the decision to not eat you sometimes. Maybe there are extreme cases where humans will, but I digress. The point I'm making is, like, at no point in time can we justify that an animal is worth more and worth protecting more than a human. And it's particularly scary because if you just kind of like follow the line, and if you apply the same logic that they apply to a less charismatic animal, you'll see how absurd it is. There comes a point where you look at it and it's like, well, I get it. You think lions are super worth protecting because there are not a lot of lions. There are actually a lot of lions. There's less than there used to be, and they're worth conserving, but there's still a ton of lions. Let's take it more extreme. Let's say pangolins. Pangolins are super rare, super worth protecting. People are saying that pangolins, an individual pangolin life, is worth more than the life of the poachers. That's a sentiment that's commonly established. Like, the poachers are inhuman, they're monsters, deserving of death. Protect the pangolins at all costs. And the question I have to ask you is, like, well, what if you just extrapolate that to other animals? What if you take that same line of argument and apply it to frogs? Apply it to insects? Apply it to cockroaches? Is there a time where we can do that? What if the insect is super rare? What if it's like going extinct? Is that insect then more valuable than human life? And here, as we evaluate this, we inherently know that these things are false, that these things are illogical and unsound. There is a underlying morality that exists in us that we reject these ideologies. But it's scary how far away from the moral core and the moral standard that I think exists in every single one of us, unless you're a sociopath, or I think it's psychopath, not sociopath. That tells you, like, human life is worth more than the life of a mosquito.
Yeah. That just makes me think of Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
I feel like there is a point where we take that thinking a little too far. Because, like, when they flip when they flip the script, and it's the apes who rule the world, and it's the humans who are seen as the lower on the evolutionary chain, as they say, and there's that part where Charlton Heston's character is before their tribunal, and it's this combination of judge and religious leader, and like suddenly it sounds all bigoted and stuff like that. But I mean, I totally agree with you. It's just, I don't know. I wonder, like, in a hypothetical scenario as posed in Planet of the Apes, would it be any different?
And it should, it absolutely should. I think the hypothetical that you can kind of take this step, the difference between the apes and the humans in Planet of the Apes aren't that different than the idea of the difference between us as humans in different continents. Like we have done a really good job. We're really skillful at dehumanizing our fellow man because of the color of our skin, the borders that they have. In many cases, there are people in the same country of the same genetic stock that still find reason or cause to persecute and harm each other. And I think the start of the problem is the dehumanization that occurs, that allows you to villainize somebody. You need to dehumanize them. You have to make them less than you so that you can actively and aggressively attack their being. Otherwise, it's wrong. Otherwise, that it's unacceptable and not okay. So you have to be like, these guys are religious zealots, and they're cultists, and they're leading people astray, and they're monsters. They're breaking up families. Kill them. Yeah. These people are the same people that were responsible for the Crusades or the Jihad. They are terrible people. Kill them. These people don't believe in God. They're like subhuman. They don't acknowledge the Creator. Kill them. These are all things that have to occur in order for us to justify treating people terribly. I saw an article earlier today that actually made me super sad about one of the cops. Okay, wow, this is super, super dangerous territory. But one of the cops who killed George Floyd, this isn't the one who was kneeling on the neck. Is another officer on scene who was tried, fired. He's currently released on bail. And he was accosted at a supermarket where he was just trying to get his supplies, like every other human being. And there was a lady who was videotaping him and says, first she asks him who he is, and he verifies that, yes, that's me, very politely, very, very non-confrontationally. And she's like, who do you think you are? You think you can just, walk around here amongst us? And he's like, miss, I'm just trying to, get the things I need, and I'm gonna pay for it and be on my way. And she's just screaming and making a big scene and telling everyone that he's a cop killer. And I'm like, not a cop killer. He's the killer of George Floyd. And I look at that and I'm like, look, I get why you're angry. Don't we have systems in place to deal with this situation? Is it your responsibility to attack this individual on these levels? Or is it our society's job to be the judge, the jury, and if necessary, the meter of punishment, the one who meets punishment, the one who delivers punishment? Yeah. It's kind of scary how we live in a very, very mob mentality world today. Jordan Peterson's appearance on Joe Rogan talks a lot about that. And I honestly, I don't love Jordan Peterson. Not Jordan Peterson, sorry. Excuse me. Brett
Weinstein.
Brett Weinstein, yes. I don't agree with him.
Weinstein.
He
gets really, really touchy when you say Weinstein, because he wants people to know he's not related to Harvey.
Oh, that's why. That's a good reason. Yeah. That's a good reason.
Weinstein. Yeah. Yes. But, sorry, Brett.
Yeah. But I don't agree with him on so many levels, but I do strongly agree with a lot of his statements about how we need to stop debating and start having dialectics. One of my favorite lines that I've ever heard from him is I'm not interested in debate. I'm interested in a dialectic, which is where you speak and I listen to you, and then I speak and you listen to me. And it's that's what we need more of. We need more of that in this society. We can disagree. You don't need to agree with me. It's not that I speak and you agree with me. It's not that you speak and I agree with you. It's that I speak and you listen to me. That you speak and I listen to you. And then we can continue to have this discussion. But
right.
Yeah, I also like that he was suggesting that Andrew Yang be our president in 2020. I'm still Yang or bust, man.
Yeah. Part of the Yang gang?
I am super, super Yang loyalist. It's interesting, it has nothing to do with the fact that he's Asian. It has nothing to do with the fact that, I relate to him in a lot of cultural ways. In fact, if I could, I'd make him white so that he'd be more electable. The reason why I liked Andrew Yang, the reason why I like Andrew Yang today is because he's a guy who makes decisions and comes to conclusions based on reason and logic. You know, he's not like touting this party line and just screaming what the people want to hear. He's like, no, let's talk about the problem. Let's analyze the situation and try to come to a reasonable solution. And I might not agree with his thought process every single time. I might not agree that his solution is the best solution at every single proposal he makes. But I do think that the way he makes decisions is a way that I understand. You know, I understand how he's arriving at his conclusion. I understand how he's making these decisions and how his logic works. And yeah, it's disappointing that we don't have anyone like him running for office.
Yeah.
So, vote for Yang, guys. Write in votes. If enough people write him in, nothing will happen because we live in a two-party system that needs to be broken. So next time, don't vote for freaking Joe Biden in the primaries, you dummies. That was bad.
Yeah,
I should have said
I'm
that.
gonna be honest. Political stuff is still super over my head. Seriously, like all I know about politics is what I see in House of Cards, which I just started watching recently. I'm like super late to the party, but
Is that the one with Spader?
Kevin Spacey.
Oh yes.
Yes, and that was also why why the show ended up dying.
Oh, did it die? I thought they just moved on without him.
So, well, it did, but then it ended up dying because he wasn't in it.
Got it.
So that was an interesting one. So the Me Too movement, I think, reached a head in late 2017, early 2018. And that's when Netflix like axed them. They're like, no, we need to cancel you. And they thought that they could still keep it going, but he was basically the life and soul of the show. So it withered and died very quickly. The one season it tried to go on without him.
I see.
And yeah, like, and the funny thing is he ended up being cleared of all his charges.
Oh, seriously?
The damage to the show. Yeah, the damage to the show was irreparable. So,
dude, it's actually
no more House of Cards.
It's nuts. Like one of the football players on the Giants. I'm a Giants fan. I'm from New York. I like all things New York. Most things New York. I don't like the Rangers. The Rangers suck. The Devils are the best team. But I very much like the New York Giants. And there was a player on the New York Giants, a younger guy, drafted not that long ago, who got put on blast on social media. There was a warrant out for his arrest. I think he ended up turning himself in. Basically, the story was that he like robbed a party. Like he and his like friend and his goons like went up with guns and like held everyone up and like took all this jewelry, took all this money, and then left. And like all these news outlets reported on it. ESPN was talking about how the Giants were stupid, how this guy was stupid, and all this other stuff. And then all this news has come out recently, talking about how like he might be innocent of all these charges. And,
oh no!
and you think about it, like how damning is it that we live in a society where basically the court of public opinion renders the judgment so much earlier than the actual court of law, and it's scary because like there are things that I think, well, what if I make it one day? What if I become like an actor? You know, what if I manage to be somebody that people pay attention to? And like, what if something crazy happens and somebody accuses me of something that I didn't do? You know, so I try to temper my strong reactions to these very, very like visceral news stories, because like when I read it, I was like, dude, what an idiot! Like, great job for like being a dum-dum and hurting my team because you're a good player or potentially a good player, and then B, like, you know, like what kind of idiot throws away like millions of dollars a year playing football for like, you know, less than $100,000 a year or whatever you got away from. You know, I was like very, very angry. And then like news comes out that this is all wrong, and it's like I feel bad for thinking these things, but I also get angry at the news for communicating it like it's a fact. So I've been trying to like be what the Bible says, slower to anger, you know, faster. Like anyway, very, very fascinating world we live in. It's a little scary in that regard.
Whew. I think a lot of what we talked about today touches on human nature and just the things we manage to do as people.
Yeah. So like before we wrap, maybe we won't talk about this. Maybe we'll cut this. But when you were talking about the Me Too movement, I immediately thought of the time you and I got Me Too'd, and I took a long and hard gander at the possibility of you sharing that story.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I feel like I never do this one justice. I feel like you tell it way better.
Should we tell it? I feel like we should tell it.
All right, go for it. We need something funny and lighthearted.
Yeah, like there's a chance that the no do-gooder. What is the opposite of a do-gooder? The evildoer? Oh yeah, the evildoer. Yeah, the evildoer, who is the bad guy in this story, will hear. But I'm not going to name any names.
Of course not.
And I'm going to communicate this as tactfully and gently and kindly as possible. But yeah, there was once a day where this not close friend of mine, just this kind of acquaintance that I knew from a group of people that I used to hang out with. I'll keep it as vague as possible so people can't backtrack. But Daniel was also part of this group. Was asking me questions, really innocuous questions, like, hey, I'm trying to like lift weights and like get more fit and put on some muscle. Can you give me some tips? And this is a younger person.
It's a valid question.
Right? Yeah, completely valid question. And this is a younger person, and I was trying to just be nice, so I gave them my thoughts. Like, make sure your diet supports your attempts to gain weight. Make sure your workout regimen doesn't overwork. Just basic, like not rocket science advice.
Get your protein.
Yeah, get your protein. Make sure you're not under proteining, and make sure that you exercise in these ways. If you're trying to put on weight, there's a way to do it, and if you're trying to stay lean, there's a way to do it. Just really basic stuff. Anyway, I'm gonna get to the brass tacks of this story. So, man, it's hard to say, man. It's hard to tell the story. It's like painful. It's traumatizing. This is straight up traumatizing.
He feels the chills coming on. You're making him relive some dark moments in his history.
All right. So the guy says, "Oh, thanks so much." And he's like, when I give him the feedback, he's like, "Oh, by the way, can you give me some feedback? Because I've been working out." And then I think he first asked, "Can you give me like some suggestions on some problem areas that I could work out and exercises I could do it on?" And then before I can even respond, he sends a picture of him in a banana hammock.
Tell the nice audience what a banana hammock is, Mike.
I'm trying to think of a way to explain. So imagine if your underwear, the garment with which you use to protect your groinal areas and keep everything snug, was a strip of fabric, and I mean strip, like a thin strip of fabric all the way around, and then just like a small covering, so it's basically a tee. That's how there's things. I don't know what a G-string is, like what qualifies a G-string versus a thong. What the delineation is, but this is a T-string.
It's basically a G-string.
This is a T-string. Yeah. And I responded by Ronnie Changing my phone across the freaking wall because this isn't the time for showing me your junk. And I was like, wow, that's really, really. I'm not cool with this. I didn't respond. I didn't know how to respond. I was just kind of taken for a loss, and I was really upset. And
I probably went comatose for a second, right?
No, I threw my phone against the wall. That's what I did. I there was no ability to go comatose. The visceral reaction was that strong. So then after that, I'd get these messages, be like, "Hey, how's it going, man? Like, hope you're doing well. Hey, how's it going, man?" And like, I just get this long list of messages that I wouldn't respond to because I was uncomfortable about the situation. And then after several months, I finally feel bad. And I say, hey man, it's going all right. And immediately after I respond, so like keep in mind, this is probably like 5 to 6 months of not responding to maybe like bi-weekly to monthly messages of just like, hey, what's going on, man? Hey, what's up? Happy Valentine's Day. Like just like all these like, like non-responsive. Finally I respond and he instantly responds with, hey, I've been working out. Tell me what you think. Bang! And sends me another picture. So I run to check my phone against the wall again. And I'm just like, all right, I'm not going to respond to this person ever again. I put the conversation on mute, and I'm just like, this is unacceptable. And I felt like I should have explained why this wasn't okay, but I just didn't have it. I was just so uncomfortable and grossed out. And I just started thinking, dude, this is kind of like one iota, one small taste of what girls have to deal with on a regular basis. And my heart aches for all my sisters out there, for all my friends who are female out there, for even the females that I don't know or don't like, that you guys have to deal with this is so absolutely terrible, heartbreaking, and disgusting.
Yeah.
And I was telling Daniel about it, and then Daniel, I think you should tell your side of the story.
Okay. So he tells me about this, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, Mike's just that kind of person, like he just draws that reaction from people, right? So I like, I dismissed it from my head, and I'm like, oh, no. But yeah, like it does kind of make you feel for girls who have to deal with this on a regular basis. Sorry, men are animals. But fast forward a couple months, enough time for me to forget the intensity of this experience. And I happen to blip on this person's radar, and I completely forget. Well, not completely, but mostly forget the threat that this guy poses. So, I decided to be a friend to him. And sure enough, he, I guess, notices that I'm somewhat active as well. And he starts, coming to me for workout advice. I'm drawing quotations with my fingers. And he does the same thing, in essence. I tell him the same things. Make sure you're eating appropriate to what you're trying to do. Are you trying to gain? Are you trying to lose? Are you trying to work these muscles? Make sure you get your protein. And one day, the exact same thing happens. And he goes, I think I'm making progress. Can I get your opinion? And me, in my complete naivete, go, sure. And he sends me a picture. And like suddenly all of the flashbacks, all of Mike's words start blaring in my ears, and I'm like, oh no! Like I completely fell into the trap. And I see the picture, and it's the banana hammock from hell, and I'm like, no! So I immediately forward the picture to Mike, and I'm like, you were right, Mike, you were right. And I had the exact same reaction. I picked up my phone, and I'm like, yeah! And yeah, like, just my mind, like, I just like blanked, and I'm like, like, my soul just got punched. And I had the exact same reaction. Like, I was trying to be nice to this guy, and I just couldn't talk to him anymore. And like, I just like stopped. I didn't even know what to say. And I'm like, and months go by, and he would send me messages, same thing, like, oh, how are you doing? Hope your day's going
Happy
well.
Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. And like Mike, a couple months later, I'm like, oh, dude, I feel bad. I was trying to be a brother to this guy. So I'm like, all right. So I start talking to him again. And then, more of the same. He manages to and it's like you said, Mike, he gets to the point where he doesn't even do the build-up anymore, or he like glosses right through it, so just so he can hit you with the punchline, aka the banana hammock. And it just turns into this vicious cycle. And I my mind goes blank again, and I'm like, I can't. But I don't know what it is about me. I'm like, nah, like always a couple months go by, and I'm like, I can't, ignore this guy. Like, what if he needs help or something like that? So I always come back to talking to him. And then one day, he asks me what my opinion is on tattoos. And for those of you who are wondering what my opinion is, it's nice if you have something that matters so much that you would have it permanently inked to your skin. And he's like, great, want to check out mine? And before I have the chance to say yes or no, he sends me a picture. And I'm like, oh, great. But I'm like, sure, let's take a look. What could possibly mean so much to you that you would have it permanently inked on, like, say, your shoulder or your bicep or even your pec? But no, he sends me a picture of it's a selfie shot over the shoulder, aimed at a mirror, which shows all of his body. So me, in my innocence or naivete or whatever you want to call it, I look at his shoulder for the tattoo. No, it's not there. I look for his bicep. Maybe I could just catch it. No, it's not there. His pec? No, because he's not facing me with his chest. It's a mirror reflection of his entire back. It's not on his back. It's not on his shoulder blade. My eyes have to keep going down. And I realize it's a tramp stamp of a butterfly. And he's not even wearing the banana hammock this time. He is butt-ass naked. And it just burns itself into my mind, into my subconscious, and my conscious, and whatever there is, my soul. And, oh my gosh, this is one of the worst days of my life. And I'm like, and I grab my phone, and I'm like, and like, I fell for it again. Damn it, Mike, I fell for it again.
It's, this like built up,
And,
rage that you seem to be, or that we seem to be expressing. That's our first taste of being Me Too'd. So we stand in solidarity with you girls. We know that a lot of guys are completely unacceptable and inappropriate, and we are sorry that you have to go through what you go through. And I promise, like, this is like one billionth of what I know that you must experience on a regular basis. There's no point of comparison, but holy crap. And if you're listening, Mr. Who, stop sending people your banana hammock.
You know who you are. You know who you are.
Cool.
Sorry.
Sorry, I haven't had the courage to tell you directly, but I'm just scared
cool.
that you're going to send me another dick pic. And I'm not cool with that.
You're still my brother, but you know who you are. Shame on you. Don't. No.
Dude, the thing that's
Bad.
really alarming, it's like,
no.
I was telling the story. Were you there when I was telling the story? And then our other friend?
Yeah.
Yeah, like me and Daniel were hanging out. We were like,
gonna say that.
We're not going to say who it is, but you guys don't even know this person. And we shared the story, like just like we just shared it with you. And that the guy who was from a different circle, from a different community, was like, I know exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly who you're talking about. This happened to me. And I'm like, no way. This isn't somebody in your community. And he's like, no, like this, I know who you're talking about. It's this person. We're like, oh, you don't know this person. So apparently it's like a chronic thing that he's just doing, like a serial, like flasher. And don't do it, man. It's not cool.
Yeah.
Sorry to put you on blast.
Yeah,
to the
so it
internet
turns out
for all 6 people that'll listen to this.
His list of victims is actually quite extensive.
Super extensive.
All males, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we realized, and then we found people who weren't on the list, and we realized, like, if you're within this community and you have anything like remotely resembling a physique, you better watch out, because if it hasn't happened yet, it's bound to.
Yeah.
So, be warned, if the shoe happens to fit.
It's kind of terrifying.
But I think we talked their ears off about this.
All right. You have listened to, if you've listened this far, you've gotten to the end of episode 3 of our podcast.
Congratulations, you should get a trophy.
Yeah. We are refining our craft. Thank you for putting up with us as we learn how to express ourselves on the mic and try to entertain you in the process. I hope you guys like what you see. Genuinely, if you have thoughts or comments or things you want us to talk about, put it in the comments below. We read them. We interact with them. We are happy to chat with you, and we're grateful for you and your willingness to share your time with us. This is where you say something.
Yep. Oh, yeah. So I think Mike pretty much said it all. Thank you for joining us. And we'll be sure to get the next episode out sooner. But until then, I hope you guys have some good food for thought. Hope you guys have a blessed week, and we will see you next time. I'm DMAH.
I'm Mike Rao.
And we are signing out. Later.